Motivation is a joke. See, when you start something new, you're fired up thinking this time it's different, right? But then life hits. Suddenly you're back to procrastinating and wasting your time on pointless things. Then you start self-rationalizing your shitty behaviors and excusing yourself on why it's okay to abandon your goals and dreams. The worst part? You know that inner voice at night that makes sure to remind you on how you let yourself down again and how big of an idiot you are. Does that sound familiar? Because this is what happens when you rely on motivation alone. As a 28-year-old man with ADHD tendencies, I have seen this play out way too many times. I mean, it took me this long to figure out that motivation is absolutely garbage if you want to change for good. And I'm sure you are motivated bullshit that's out there. Now, if you want to know what actually works when trying to do something new, change, or how to stay persistent with something, then listen, because I have the equation to solve your problems. And not only that, I will share some incredibly important information that is not only backed by science, but will also give you the understanding and practical steps that you need in order to never randomly rely on motivation peaks again. But firstly, you have to understand what motivation really is and why you want motivation in the first place. Now, motivation is something that arouses action or activity. You experience motivation to change when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. In other words, you make a quick mental cost-benefits analysis where eventually making a change becomes easier than staying the same. So the reason you want motivation is because you want change. As a result, all behavior is driven by the desire to solve a problem. That's why all animals share motivation to obtain their basic needs, including food, water, sex, and social interaction. That's exactly why when you're fat and you want to lose weight and hunger strikes, suddenly the fridge is like a hot axe. You know you shouldn't, but you're going back for more anyways. Now, contrary to popular belief, motivation is actually a byproduct of taking action and not the other way around. As a result, the hardest part is usually to get started, but you might already be aware of this. But instead of waiting around for motivation to hit you, you just have to get started. Now you might be wondering, well, if motivation is useless, but I want to change a behavior, what the hell do I do then? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I have the answer for you, so listen closely. Have you ever seen this equation before? This equation is the simple way of saying that your behavior is a function of both the person you are and the environment you're in. This equation was presented by Kurt Lewin, often recognized as the founder of social psychology. Basically, we act in accordance to the environment that we're in. So what does this have to do with motivation? Well, stick with me. You see, we like to think that we're in control, right? But more often than not, many of our actions and decisions throughout the day is actually shaped by the easy and most obvious choices. This is also in alignment with the principle of least effort, which states the basic behavioral hypothesis is that an organism will choose a course of action that appears to require the smallest amount of effort or expenditure of energy. So your brain is wired this way to conserve energy, and it's human nature to follow this principle. Our environment works like a hidden magnet, invisibly pulling our behavioral compass in a direction without us noticing it. Let me just illustrate just how powerful environment can really be. A couple of years ago, I was playing video games on a daily basis, and I've been playing for probably a decade or more, but now I hated it. I wanted to fucking quit, but every time I came home from work, went to my room, I turned on the goddamn PC and started playing. My environment made it nearly impossible to stop cold turkey. Now, I had planned to go on a vacation to Spain for 14 days, but I actually ended up staying there for 2 months. What was interesting was that when I traveled to Spain, I obviously didn't have the opportunity to play video games. My environment had changed so drastically I couldn't even play. I didn't need to rely on motivation to quit video games. I had just changed my environment so drastically that I could quit with ease. What this illustrates is that environment design is a powerful tool to change a behavior that before seemed impossible to change. Considering how deeply rooted it was, I didn't need motivation to change. My surroundings did the job for me. I mean, it kind of made it easy to stop. So if you have ever wondered, why don't I do what I say I'm going to do? It's probably not entirely your fault. It might be because of how you have structured your environment, which leads us to the next step. How can you actually apply this to your own life? Now, let's say you have a goal of wanting to read more, but this can be applied to basically any new habit or change you want to do. But let's go with reading. Basically, you want to become a reader, but you just don't have the motivation to stick to this habit consistently or where to start. Here's what you do. Imagine this. You come home and there's your book waiting for you on a coffee table or dinner table. Impossible to miss, right? That's what making reading obvious is all about. The reason you want to make reading obvious is because our vision is our most important and most complex sense. But here's the catch. Don't just plant yourself anywhere. You know that couch where you usually sit and your phone becomes apparently a black hole? Yeah, you don't want to sit there. Pick another spot for reading, just for reading. This way you're not wrestling with old habits tied to that spot. Now remember how I said getting started is the toughest part? Here's the trick straight from Newton's first law, which states, an object at rest remains at rest. An object in motion remains in motion at a constant speed and in a straight line unless acted on by an unbalanced force. In other words, things in motion usually stay in motion. And you could say like an unbalanced force could be like a distraction like your phone. So forget about making promises to yourself about reading one chapter a day. Just tell yourself just one line. I know it sounds silly, right? But once you start, chances are you will keep going. And every line you read, that's a vote for becoming a reader, a step towards the person you want to be. Motivation occurs when you desire something, right? You want to solve a problem or attain something you don't have. Fixating on the prize, that's extrinsic motivation, and you don't want that. Now, what you want instead is to get the reward from doing a specific behavior. That's called intrinsic motivation. Let's take working out, for example. The aim isn't just to complete a workout, it's to become the type of person who works out regularly and stays fit. Best way to stay motivated is to access the intrinsic reward system of dopamine. Make the effort feel rewarding by tricking your mind into enjoying the grind. That's the essence of a growth mindset, valuing the effort, not just the outcome. Think of it like this. True behavior change comes from within. It has to be intrinsic. You might start with a new habit like reading because of motivation, but to keep reading and make it stick, it has to become a part of your identity. You have to become a reader and actually enjoy reading itself. So try to be the designer of your world instead of being the consumer of the world that others have created for you. Now, if you like this video, I am sure you're gonna like this one. Just click on the video on the screen. I promise you, it's just as entertaining and insightful as this one. If you made it this far, you're a real one. Thanks for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe. You're an absolute legend. See you in the next one.